What's going on, y'all? Welcome back to basketball, and more importantly, welcome back to our season preview series. This is a series where I'm breaking down all 30 NBA teams before the start of the regular season, and now it's kind of the dead point in the basketball calendar. Nobody's really looking for basketball, trying to enjoy it right now, but if you're a basketball sweat like me, you're trying to get ready for the season. It's really not that far away, and you're trying to get prepared, see your team, see the competition, just get filled in and ready for the year. And that's what we're going to do in this video with the Toronto Raptors. We're going to talk about what it looked like for them last season, some goals that they have for this year. What did their offseason look like? We're going to do a complete roster breakdown. We'll talk about their salary cap space, their draft picks, and other assets. We'll do some mock trades, go through rotations, lineups, and then finally finish with a standings prediction at the very end. But before we get into all that, make sure that you guys like, subscribe, and comment. I've responded to every single comment on my YouTube channel up to this point, and I intend to keep on doing so. Again, kind of the dead point in the calendar year. I know these videos aren't going to necessarily get a ton of love, but I'm doing this for the basketball sweats out there, so please go enjoy the other season preview videos out here. There's even more to watch than you even see on the screen right now. They're all fun and informative, so yeah, let's go make another one, I suppose. Yeah, let's go talk about the Raptors. And that brings us back here to the season preview spreadsheet. For those of you unfamiliar, I like to build these spreadsheets to kind of help articulate and visualize the stories I'm trying to tell here on YouTube. And you can actually get access to this spreadsheet. It's really, really simple. All you do is go down into the description of this video, click on the link to join my Discord. It's completely free. Go to the announcements channel and you can download this spreadsheet here. I'm updating it every single day. So whenever you want to go get an update, just hop on there and go download the most up-to-date version. But anyway, okay, Toronto. That's enough marketing and stuff for today. The Toronto Raptors, man. Let's start off with the intro tab where we usually talk about what happened last season. This was another team. We've covered a lot of these teams actually. I guess you don't see some of the most recent videos that I recorded on my channel right now, but I feel like we've covered a couple teams in a row that have just been injury plagued for a while, because this was another team that just really They struggled, especially at the beginning of the year. It felt like a lot of their core team was kind of beat up. And this wasn't a team that was expected to go like super far in general last season. This was a team that we had a lot of question marks about because they had just, it wasn't that long ago, they kind of blew up the remains of their championship team. So like no more OG Anunoby, Pascal Siakam, and all of them. They kind of moved on from them, and now they have this interesting little core of like Scotty Barnes, who has been to an all-star game, and then RJ Barrett and Emmanuel Quickley, right? Where we're all kind of like, okay, these are solid like individual players. I'm not exactly sure what direction we're going in, but here we are. They also have like Jakob Poeltl, who's solid, and last year, like not a ton of like young players that you're too interested in outside of that. So we're like, okay, what is kind of the franchise status of this team? We don't know. They're all hurt. We don't know how well they play together. And, you know, they kind of go through the season. It's not that great. And at the trade deadline, they make a really surprising move, unless maybe you're used to the Toronto Raptors going after like 6'9" lengthy dudes, because that's what they like to do. But they went and traded for Brandon Ingram. Now, mind you, they didn't give up very much to go get Brandon Ingram. What was it? It was like Bruce Brown, Kelly Olynyk, and like a pick or something like that. Was that even it? I don't remember like all the implications behind this move. But the New Orleans Pelicans didn't want to pay Brandon Ingram or whatever. They send him over to Toronto. Cool, he's locked up here for a little bit now, but we all immediately had the question of like, isn't Brandon Ingram pretty similar to like a Scotty Barnes? And like they've kind of got like 4 or 5 of these dudes now that are kind of like primary ball handling kind of forwards that like to play make. Maybe they're not like the best like outside shooters and whatnot, but it's like, okay, Toronto's done this before where they're like, let's just go get all the lengthiest kind of switchable wings we can get and see what happens. But this team just has a really weird core now that we're not really sure what the ceiling of it is. Again, you got Brandon Ingram for next to nothing, and he's a very good basketball player, but I don't know. And Brandon Ingram hasn't even suited up for the Raptors yet, mind you, because he was hurt again the entire time he was here, coming from one injury-riddled team to another, from New Orleans to Toronto. But regardless, they finished last year 30-52. And if we go down to the franchise status here, I got them as a who the fuck knows. If you're new to this series, I've basically got 5 different categories you can fall into for your franchise status. I've got selling teams, so teams actively trying to blow things up and kind of reset their team. You've got rebuilding teams, teams that are trying to kind of find those couple of core building blocks that you're going to start your franchise with. Growing teams, meaning you found those kind of base level players and now you're kind of trying to grow up with them, put the right players around them. And then you got the contending teams, teams that are actively like in contention for the finals, and they know it, they're acting like it. And then you got the who the fuck knows teams. There's a couple of them across the NBA, and this is the one category you definitely do not want to be in. At least all of these other ones have a direction. Who the fuck knows, as the title suggests. You have no clue where you're going as a franchise right now. This team acts as if they're like close to something, right? They keep bringing in kind of these like win now players or whatever, but the fit of all of them is really, really strange. It's really strange. Like, it doesn't make a ton of sense to maybe the average basketball fan, me included, being someone that looks at this stuff very much from a professional standpoint. I don't know. It's very weird to me. I don't know. I really don't know where they're going with this group. But anyway, let's talk about goals. Let's talk about goals and other things with the Toronto Raptors. First one, figure out how this core works. Again, you've got this really interesting starting 5, and unlike other who the fuck knows teams, I'm actually really curious about this team because, again, it's not bad basketball players that you like have on your team by any means. It's a very unique team in the sense that it's like, okay, RJ Barrett, Scotty Barnes, like Brandon Ingram, like all very kind of similar types of players. Like Quickly, again, is going to play a similar role, but in a different position. And like Jakob Poeltl's a good center. You look at the bench and it's like, okay, like the bench is really, I don't really know what you're going to get out of that. But this core 5, like you have the potential to always have 3 pretty good basketball players on the court at any given point. So maybe you can make something happen with that. I don't know. You're also in the Eastern Conference. That's just not quite as competitive as the West. So who knows what you're able to accomplish, but I'll still ask you what the ceiling is. But yeah, let's figure out how this core works, because I just really struggle to figure out like how to put this team together and what the strategy should be with them. Find some shooting. This team is in desperate need of like outside shooting and primarily people that don't need the basketball and can go create some space and can be a catch and shoot guy, stuff like that. I wrote a question here next. I said, do you need to be prepared to blow this up at the deadline? Like, if the season's not going well, like, I know this core hasn't been together for that long and we haven't seen much of it, but I genuinely ask this as a question. I hope you let me know down in the comments. Should this team just start to blow this up as soon as it starts to not look right? Because a lot of logic tells us that this team isn't going anywhere, but I don't know. Maybe that's still too quick. I don't know. I'm down to kind of hear you guys out on this one. And then for the fans, don't follow these guys on TikTok.
She don't know what she doing. This bitch just giving it out. What the hell? Girls that wham in a circle, even if love make a jump like a hurdle. Girls that wham in a circle, even if love make a jump like a hurdle.
Okay, I'm sorry you had to see that. I don't know why. I see so many weird TikToks from this group of guys or whatever that it's just, ugh. So yeah, that's my last goal for the fans. Just don't follow these dudes on TikTok. That alone makes me wary for the season or whatever. But with all that being said, keep these goals in mind for the rest of this video because they'll be important as they'll kind of describe the other moves and ideas that we have with this group. But let's move on to their off season. Alrighty, off-season tab. If you've been following this channel for any amount of time, you know that we cover the off-season in kind of 3 different parts. This wasn't the most crazy off-season for this group, really. First, you've got drafted players here, so players that were drafted by the team that are going to be on the full-time roster. Player departures, guys that were on the full-time roster at the end of last season that will no longer be on the team this year. And then players brought in. These are the new faces for the fans to get to know, guys that you brought in via free agency or a trade or whatever that will be on the full-time roster. Yeah, again, not much to talk about here, but let's start off with the drafted players. If you guys want like some in-depth breakdowns of these players, I do have a playlist here for those of you that don't know. I run a basketball like statistics and consulting company, and one of the main things that I do is I get hired on by teams to be like a scout for them, and I did that each of the last couple seasons, and so you can kind of hear my opinions on some of the players here. The series did very well this year. Colin Murray Boyles. I'm not going to lie. I wasn't a big CMB guy coming into this draft. I won't deny that there's like some talent here as a basketball player, but he's a very strange type of player. Right? He gets compared to Julius Randle a lot because he's, thicker forward, right? That really likes to operate in the block. He's a pretty good passer outside of there. Like get him the ball in the high post, kind of let him cook type of thing. No outside shot to really speak of. His creation skills are pretty limited, in all honesty. And just everything we saw him do at the college level, at least in my eyes, none of that is stuff that you're gonna get to do in the NBA, because there's a very few players that they really let kind of play like that. You have to be so good at it, and even still then, those guys don't tend to go very far in like the playoffs or anything. So I'm a little bit confused as to what CMB does for you, like on offense. Defensively, he is known to be a pretty good basketball player. He's got pretty good instincts. He's physical. He's strong. So all that is cool. But players like that, you got to have a little bit more to your game in order to really make it in the NBA. I guess there's a world where he becomes like a Draymond Green type of player. But again, a team that has a ton of guys that want the basketball kind of to be the best versions of themselves, that also can't space the floor or anything, are on his team. So who are you going to take the ball away from to give CMB the ball to let him be the playmaker that he could potentially be? I don't understand that. So I thought this was a subpar pick, if I'm being honest with you. I hope that it works out. I hope you guys know I want all of these guys to have success. I don't understand. I don't get what we're doing with this pick. So kind of weird. Player departures. Chris Boucher, been with the group for a long time as a part of the lengthy wing/forward core that this team just loves to build. Chris Boucher, pretty solid offensive player. Like all said and done, he's really effective at the rim. Can step out and hit a three if you need him to. Not a horrible rebounder. Defensively, kind of like meh. He kind of gets taken advantage of for being a little bit skinnier. Maybe not like the best athlete ever, but offensively he can contribute to like a decent amount, kind of between like a forward and a big kind of guy. But solid role player, not going to be on the team anymore. He's on his way to Boston, and they need any depth they can get, so not a bad one there. And then Colin Castleton, younger big that's been trying to make it in the NBA. There's not really a particular part of his game that really intrigues me at all. He doesn't necessarily do anything at a high level. It's not meant to be demeaning or anything. It's just kind of fact. So these are the two guys you lost. It's not anything crazy necessarily. So who'd you bring in? You brought in Sandro. I have no clue how to say his last name. Everyone just calls him Mamu, and that's what I call him too. I love Mamu. I'm not gonna lie. I love the energy this dude plays with. He's a lot of fun coming from San Antonio. Dude can do a lot for you offensively, if I'm being real with you. Like, he's a sneaky good playmaker. Doesn't make a lot of mistakes with the basketball either. Rebounding and like traditional big man stuff, maybe not his thing, but he's pretty good at getting to the rim. His 3-point percentage, while it comes not in high volumes, is actually pretty solid. He just moves around a lot. He's very active, so not a bad backup big to have. Again, he doesn't necessarily do a ton of big man things well, but there's certainly stuff that you can do with him that I think is fun. So again, this team just has all of these kind of like giant playmakers on the team that you're just like, okay, I don't quite know like what to do with all of you. It's so much like inbreeding of talent that's kind of going on here. It's so strange. Again, I don't know if I'd want to put these two guys like on the court together with any of the other guys on the team. It's just my coaching brain can't quite comprehend it. So if I'm looking at this offseason, didn't really like the draft. The player departures is kind of like meh. Players brought in, fine. You needed another big on the team. You brought in another big on the team. Again, I don't know if this is the skill set you needed. I just like Mamu. So kind of a below average offseason, if I'm being honest. There just wasn't a ton of growth here. But again, this team did trade for Brandon Ingram last year. And so now you will have Brandon Ingram on the team. That is a big upgrade, right? He's a very, very good basketball player. So yeah, that's their offense. I say let's go talk about the rest of their roster. Alrighty, roster breakdown tab. If you've been on my channel for any amount of time, you've definitely seen this tab. We really like to use this tab in a lot of different series because it kind of gives this all-encompassing view of an NBA team. One, you've kind of got the roster breakdown with player salaries and some stats on them. You have a team salary cap breakdown, assets that you can take a look at, and then the depth chart that nobody ever gets mad at, ever. Nobody will go into the comments and be like, AVC, Ochai Agbaji's a small forward, AVC, he's not a shooting guard. I put him to there at 2K, I put him at small forward, his overall went up to overall AVC, did you see that? So, Billy, I'm gonna keep it real with you. I'm hanging out with your Nana later tonight. That's all you gotta know. What's gonna happen? Well, guess you're gonna find out, Billy. That's all you gotta know. But anyway, I like to always start off with kind of the roster breakdown here, just so that we can kind of get a sense for what's going on with the team. But before we even do that, AVC, what are these numbers right here? These are EPM numbers. They stand for estimated plus minus. Basically, this really, really advanced statistic that we have in basketball that tells you how good somebody is at offense, defense, and then overall as a basketball player. I then take those numbers and normalize them or index them, whatever you want to call it, so you can get a 0 to 100 score comparing them against everyone else in the NBA. 0 being the absolute worst at something, 100 being the best at something. And as always, and I know I say this spiel in every video, it's because there's a lot of most of the views are normally new viewers on any given YouTube video, but it's important to understand that just because a stat said something doesn't mean that that is the absolute truth of everything, right? There's a lot of context and critical thinking that goes into making a stat a stat. So just because it says somebody's bad at defense, like, okay, why was that person bad at defense? That's what it takes to kind of tell the whole story behind something, and that's what like a good analytics person or consultant does in this world. So just be good critical thinkers with everything that you see. Ask yourself why with everything. That's just good skills for being a person. But anyway, Scotty Barnes, what an interesting character Scotty Barnes is. Again, get a little bit worried seeing those videos of the dude online, but really intriguing player when he came into the NBA. You saw this big, like 6'9", strong forward that can go up and down the court. He's got a decent handle with it, solid playmaker, very, very good defensively. You can see that number reflected here. Still a good defensive player. Offensively, this guy hasn't found out how to really play efficient basketball yet. Even like getting to the rim with his size and strength, it isn't like a great skill set of his. He had like one season where he was an average three-point shooter. Last year was not as good. I want to give a little bit of slack last year because, again, the talent that you're playing with on a night-to-night basis is not that good, and that's always just going to make it harder for you, right? If your team sucks, it's going to make it harder. Like a Cade Cunningham. It's the example we always use because it's a great example. But yeah, Scotty Barnes, he's made an all-star team before as like a kind of a last-minute sub or whatever, so he's kind of one of those borderline all-star players. I don't know what his potential is, right? Because the playmaking's good, like, and the turnovers aren't bad by any means. They're not great, but he's a young player, so I can kind of excuse it. And a lot of people want to see kind of the point Scotty type stuff, to which I'm like, sure, wings that can kind of handle and create, that's really valuable. Then you go to the next player on the team, Brandon Ingram. It's a very similar player, except he's a little bit more efficient on offense. Brandon Ingram doesn't always do a ton for you defensively. It's not that he can't. I mean, he gets a lot of hands on ball, blocks some shots, things like that. But Brandon Ingram's whole thing is, like, he's got the basketball, he's going to create, he is a good passer, and he doesn't make many mistakes with it, so he is a very good playmaker. But again, he wants the basketball always. Over half of his shots are coming from him creating them. And when you take a look at like his three-point shots and everything, even like those, not most of them are created by him. So he wants the basketball. That's what he does. They're very similar players. So I'm like, okay, how do you do this? One of you's got to learn how to play without the basketball a little bit more, which is easier said than done. I know sometimes with NBA talks we overblow the idea of like LeBron and Luka. The people are like, how are those two gonna exist together? AVC, I don't understand. Doesn't LeBron want the basketball? That one I never understood. I'm like, LeBron's such a good player. I'm like, he can just do whatever the hell he needs to do. But like, no. There are times where it gets overblown a little bit, but these guys are very, like, much guys that you kind of want with the ball. I'd love to see some different play styles with them, but I don't know. I don't really know. Next, Emmanuel Quickley, a smaller kind of combo guard that's been playing a lot of point guard as of late at his peak. Pretty good shooter. He's got one of the most deadly floaters in the NBA. Offensively, very, very gifted. Got a lot of speed behind him. Just, he can go get his shot, right? But again, a lot of his stuff is created by him. We have seen him play some off-ball stuff, and that's why I didn't mind him with this group originally. I'm starting to get a little bit weary that we're getting too much redundancy on the team, but I like Quickley. I think he's pretty cool, and honestly, defensively, for how like small he is, he actually does like a pretty all right job. I wouldn't call him a good defensive player by any means, but I think you get an okay amount out of him, so that's pretty cool. But a lot of injuries as of late, so we'll see. RJ Barrett, another guy making over $25 million a year. You're going to see quite a few of these guys. This is not a cheap basketball team, and we're going to talk about that. Former, like, top 5 pick, right? We all remember the RJ Barrett Duke days. I know I remember them. Ugh, memories. But anyway, RJ Barrett, another pretty solid basketball player, but efficiency-wise, it's not quite there in the scoring department, right? Defensively kind of took a hit this last year. Again, his team was kind of bleh this last year, so I try not to look into it too much, although Scotty had success with it, so some people are able to, but there's a difference between the defensive capabilities of RJ versus Scotty Barnes. But again, a guy that's a pretty good playmaker overall, that has shown that when he has the basketball, he can go create for others and get some other people some open looks and not have like too many turnovers and stuff. So it's like, okay, got another one of these dudes, right, that can't quite step out from the outside, scores most of his buckets when he has the basketball. So it's like, okay, what's going on here? This is getting a little much. Next, a guy that doesn't need the basketball, Jakob Poeltl, a guy that his agent just continues to get him paid. So good for Jakob Poeltl, man, and he deserves to get paid. He's a good basketball player. Defensively, very good. Does all the kind of big man things well. Protects the rim pretty well, despite not being the most athletic guy. Incredibly hard to kind of back down. Sets good screens. Gets a lot of rebounds. All that great stuff. And offensively, he's very efficient at what he does. He's going to be around the rim. He plays in the right spots. Knows how to kind of rotate around his different spots depending on where the ball is. That's great. Cool. We like Jakob Poeltl. Good center. So their first 5 right here makes up quite a bit of money. We're looking at $156 million right here. I wonder how much the Knicks pay their starting 5, because it can't be like too far off, honestly. And there's a big difference between those two teams. So there's kind of a question here. Why are you paying so much money and this core's locked up for quite a bit of time to a team that we're just not so sure about? I don't know. Ochai Agbaji, a guy that they brought in this last season who had probably his best season ever. Like, shot the ball all right, was pretty solid defensively, kind of like a wing type of player who actually doesn't create much offense for himself. So that's good. You need a guy that can go like step out and hit some open threes, play some defense, doesn't need the ball. Good. That's the right type of player to have around these guys. So that's good. Already talked about Colin Murray-Boyles. Next up, Grady Dick. Ugh, the shivers that I get. But yeah, the big joke with Dick last year was everybody saying Dick can't get in hole. What do I mean by that, AVC? What the fuck did you just say? He was horrible at getting to the rim. He was like the worst player like at the rim last season or something within like certain like attempts and shit like that, right? But he's very, very bad at getting to the rim for a guy that's supposed to be a three-point shooter. Mind you, he's only coming into his 3rd season and his team hasn't been that great around him. Hasn't been a good three-point shooter kind of up to this point, but the dude works his tail off. Like, he is moving around that court. It just feels like he's kicking up dust everywhere he goes, and he's trying to make stuff happen. It just doesn't always work. So we hope we can see some improvement from him there. Defensively, pretty bleh. So got to get the offense going if we're going to be worth something. Jacoby Walter, rookie from this last season. Jacoby Walter, what he provided last season was actually okay three-point shooting, which kind of surprised me. When Jacoby Walter came in, and mind you, not a very good draft class, I was like, I think what this guy will be able to do for you right away is he should be an okay defensive player. And that's kind of what you got out of him last year. I say okay. Toronto Raptors fans, sometimes I see them saying some stupid shit like he was like elite defensively. He was not. I know you saw him get some steals at some points. You saw him lock some guys up on the perimeter every once in a while, and you're right about that. But you're also a fucking moron that doesn't know what you're looking at. You think because you watch some basketball that you know some shit, and you don't. I know I'm so mean to y'all sometimes. I do, but it's besides the point. But no, dude's out of position a lot as of right now, and that's okay. He's a young player. He makes a lot of mistakes, and that's okay. I presume that with a healthier team and everything this year, we'll start to see some of those numbers go up even more, because there are a lot of good like potential defensive players in this group, and he can only help contribute to that more. If we can build on what was an okay like efficiency as like a rookie, then maybe you got something there. But it's yet to be seen. I don't get too many glimmers from him personally. We already talked about Mamu. Garrett Temple's on the team. Shout out Garrett Temple. I'm not going to break down his basketball game really, because the guy is on there just to be the vet that bridges the gap between the coaching staff and the players. that's great. Teams should always have one of those guys, and I think that's awesome. Just keep giving him these vet minimums, man. Like, just be the on-court coach. That's what you want. And so Garrett Temple, we're happy to have you. AJ Lawson, I'm going to kind of pair him up with Jamison Battle, just kind of reserve guys that are on non-guaranteed contracts here that, could provide a role. At least Jamison Battle can kind of shoot the ball a little bit. AJ Lawson, there's not really much to his game that you get too excited about. So these two guys kind of just like, meh, we'll see if they're on the team by the end of the season. Jamal Shed, I don't remember how it's pronounced. I always get the two mixed up. And yes, I am horrible with names. Rookie from this last year, second round pick that wasn't like efficient at any point last year on offense. Playmaked a little bit with a lot of turnovers, which is what you see out of a lot of rookie guards. He's a little bit older, so maybe you expect a little bit more, but again, his team was kind of ass last year, so I like to not hold that against him. Defensively, not horrible, not great is kind of where I would put him. Again, he's a little bit older, so like I didn't see like a ton of the like dumb mistakes that you maybe saw from like a Jacoby Walter or something like that. So maybe a better defense player this next year. He's a pretty strong guard, I guess we'll see. And then Jonathan Mogbo, a really weird player, because Mogbo cannot score the basketball, it seems like. It's not really something he does. But he's like this weird athletic forward that's actually pretty good at moving the ball around, and like he seems to always be in the right spots, and he's a decent athlete. I don't know what to do with him. There's not like another player like this guy in the NBA, but there's nothing to suggest that he's necessarily all that good either. There's just like little sparks that I see where I'm like, oh, I'm really glad Jonathan Mogbo was involved in that play. So I don't know. I don't know what to do with this motherfucker. I guess just let's throw him out on the court some more and see what the hell happens. I mean, I maybe develop some sort of offensive game. Maybe he's a good defensive player. I don't know. Let's just kind of see what happens, because I'm very curious. Like the scientist in me is very, very curious. If we take a look at the depth chart, there's really only like one true point guard on the team, and I'd say that's Shed again. Quickly, I see him as more of like a combo guard, but he can be a ball handler. There's no doubt about that, and it's really not a big deal because, again, Ingram has the ball a lot. Barnes has the ball a lot. Barrett would like to have the ball a good amount, so we got plenty of guys that can go and create for people and do a pretty good job of it. If you look at the bigs, like, yeah, you don't really have like that big, like kind of lob threat shot blocking center on the team. That's kind of a missing piece to this group, I would say. You're looking at the forwards, there is like no shooting here. There's not a lot of shooting here. In theory, Grady Dick is, but he's not, so I guess I don't know. Not a lot of shooting going on right here, except for Agbaji, which has only been one season, so I guess we'll see. Yeah, we need some shooting in this team really bad. And the bench itself just is a lot of question marks. So, again, is there an opportunity to kind of mix and match all these guys that want the basketball with a couple of good, like, without the basketball player? And maybe good is a generous term, but, like, I don't know. Can we mix and match something with this group to make something happen? I don't necessarily know. It's a weird team that I have a lot of questions about. Alrighty, let's talk about the team salary cap space here. If you're new to this channel, basically 4 levels to the NBA salary cap that you need to know about. The first one, the salary cap line itself. Once they cross that, that's why this number hits 0. You can only re-sign your own players to anything more than a minimum contract. There are a few exceptions that you can use, but that's not important for this video. The luxury tax one, this is where things get scary. They have also crossed this line. That's why it's at 0. That's where your team gets way more expensive to operate, and every single year that you spend in it consecutively, that interest kind of compounds until the point you become the Boston Celtics, and you have to sell off all your best players just to kind of exist even as a company, because otherwise you're just going to get taxed to all hell. You don't typically want to be in this unless you're kind of like, okay, we're really trying to ramp stuff up now. We think we got something. Like, let's start the clock, right? The Raptors have started the clock, and they're not even like a playoff team or anything, and they're not a guaranteed playoff team either. I'd like to think maybe this team could. I could see a universe, but whoa, kind of a weird thing. They're paying a lot of money, which we talked about earlier, right? I mean, look at this. This is a decently expensive starting 5 that hasn't proven anything really yet. So kind of weird. The last 2 levels here, the aprons. These are newer things the NBA has added to kind of bring a little bit more competition to the league. If you want to see all the implication of these aprons, you can pause the video, and I've got them up on the screen here for you to read about them. But just know the deeper you get into the aprons, the more the NBA kind of chokes you out and says, hey, you can't make these trades, can't sign these people, you can't do this, you can't do this, until you get to a point where you kind of get hard capped and the league says, hey, the only way you're going from here is down, dummy. That's it. And you should really only be in those aprons unless you're really really sure that that's where you want to be. This team is only about $5 million away from this, only about $5 million. So it's not like you're able to make some big trade this year to kind of fill things out, because it's like, okay, well, now we're an apron team. It's like, is that really where this group wants to be? I don't necessarily think so. And then just taking a look at draft picks, this team just kind of has their picks. They've got they swapped their own pick with a Lakers pick at one point. There's no 2031 second round pick, but otherwise they just have their shit here. So I guess that's good. If you ever do decide to blow this team up, you're in a great starting point because you didn't mortgage your entire future to put this team together. So that's a good silver lining, I guess. I'm just confused, right? I'm just confused about this team. But again, I want to reiterate, curious. Confused but curious. I very much want to watch this team play basketball this year. What is the coaching staff going to come up with? How is this group going to work? I don't know. It's a fun little experiment that I personally wouldn't want to have as a coach, but maybe somebody does. But now let's start thinking about trades. What can we do to really benefit this team? Well, I think we have to try to see what this first five is going to do together. Maybe you could say an RJ Barrett or a Quickly or something like that gets traded at some point, and maybe in favor of a player that's a little bit more fitting, but you'd have to get a pretty good basketball player then, and I'm not sure the team that is trading a pretty good basketball player wants to get an RJ Barrett back necessarily. So I find you guys in a weird spot. So maybe the avenue more so is to try and improve the bench a little bit and try and find some shooting, because we did talk about that at the beginning. Find some shooting, right? So let's move on to the trade portion of the video and try to find that. Alrighty, y'all, that brings us back here to Fanspo. Fanspo, for those of you that don't know, really, really cool website where you can do all these mock trades, mock drafts, other fun things to kind of mess around with stuff around the NBA. Now, it's a free website and everything, and that's cool, but here's the problem. The people that run this website, I'm guessing because it is free, they're not incentivized to necessarily come in and update it all the time. And that's okay. Y'all can do whatever you want. We're not trying to shit on you. This is just the part of the video where we say, can y'all come in and update your trade machine? The rookies aren't on here, and so the numbers aren't quite accurate, and we really like your stuff, so please, can you come back? You can sponsor us too if you want to. I'll say whatever for $5. I'll say whatever you want. Anyway, so we're going to be using SpotTrack in this video. SpotTrack has a beta trade machine. It's not as good as Fanspo or whatever. It's not quite as user-friendly, but they do update everything all the time, so we can use it. Alrighty, who do we have at our disposal to move? We said we want to try and get some bench players, and we want some shooting. So where could we do that? We could maybe do it at the point guard position. That's not the worst thing, although I'm hesitant to add any sort of player that needs the ball a ton on this group. So that makes me look more so at the forward spot, which I think could be good, because Mogbo doesn't have to play, CMB doesn't have to play. I know people always want the rookies to play, but it's not the worst thing if you have to sit your rookie for a little bit and just let them grow and develop, because that is the right way to do things more often than not. But who can we even trade on this team? Oche is probably one of the few that actually kind of fits his role at least a little bit, so I wouldn't mind keeping him. Jacoby Walter, if the right thing came about, I would move Jacoby Walter. That's when Toronto Raptors fans go, AVC, I saw him play some okay defense at points last year. And I'm like, I know. It's going to be okay. Shh. But anyway, for the rest of these guys, I don't know. Maybe we could find a player that a team doesn't want to pay anymore. The problem is we're so close to the first apron already. I really can't take on that much more, because I can trade some of these non-guaranteed dudes and they can just cut them or something like that. I don't know what their deadline is to be cut or whatever, but we could do something along those lines. We also have Shed or Sheed, however the fuck you say it, Garrett Temple, Mamu, I don't know, man, because we should try to win some basketball games this year. I don't want to blow things up right now, so I guess this is the amount of money that I kind of have to work with at this point. What does that equal out to? About $7-ish million. I've got about 5-ish in change. I'd like to get below the luxury tax if I could with this team too. What am I? Let's do some quick math here, because that's another way we could attack this. 190, so we're about $3-ish million over, if I remember correctly. So we could try to shed $3-ish million. The problem is, again, our players are expensive, so I don't exactly know how we're doing that. Okay, let's go take a look at like player salaries and stuff and see if I can't find a player for around like less than 7 million that could maybe be a shooter for us. Jalen Williams would be great. Wouldn't that be cool? There's some of our boys here. Zaire Williams, John Conchar, not the best outside shooter, so I don't necessarily think so. Cam Thomas. What if we added Kuminga to this team? How funny would that shit be, right? Can we just, because I know the Kuminga thing is like kind of all going on, at least at the time of recording this. I always record these maybe like a week in advance before you see them, so just an FYI with that. Just look, that motherfucker needs to be traded. Can we try to make that work? Because we probably could. But here's the problem, right? Is like they don't really have a way to do that here, do they? Because they're not gonna have Kuminga. So sign and trade to Toronto. Oh, okay, so we can kind of do this here. So sign and trade salary. So what if we said that he was getting like 25 $1 million right here? Okay, so we do that, and then we send over RJ Barrett, but that's not going to work because it only counts for like half the amount or whatever, right? So it would have to be like someone cheaper than him even, right? So then who the hell are you sending over? They probably don't want a Jacoby Walter or anything. So let's turn, we technically can't do like trade deadline mode either with this, because this would have to be soon. So it couldn't be like a Mamu or something. Am I sending over like a Grady Dick or something? I'd prefer not to, because in theory he's going to be a shooter for us. If it's how far off are we with this one? The Raptors fail. First apron teams cannot. Oh, that's right. It would put us into the apron. So yeah, we'd have to. We'd like have to trade like a Jakob Pertl or something, but then we're completely fucking ourselves. We have no center play whatsoever. So again, how far over are we with this? A first apron team. We're not like a first apron team though, are we? I don't. No, we're not. So, like, we should be a little bit away from it still, unless I'm missing some sort of money in here somewhere. Is there dead cap? I don't know. We're not getting Jonathan Kuminga. There's no way that we can do this. There's no way. So back to finding a shooter somewhere. How can we find that? We could add a Haywood Highsmith. Haywood Highsmith I can do. That I can do, and I've got picks to use too. 3-and-D player to the max that doesn't need the basketball. Yeah, let's call them up, because we know they're going to try to flip him at some point. They got him for free there. So let's do trade deadline mode. Haywood Highsmith, we would like to have you on our basketball team. We trade you, guys, a couple people that you can just waive. You don't even need to keep them on the team. We send them over there. Does that work financially? No, the first apron team cannot take in more salary. How am I an apron team? That doesn't make any sense. I'm so confused by that. If somebody wants to explain that to me in the comments. Am I missing something here? Take a look at my salary and stuff. Am I missing something? I've got 190 here. My numbers, I think, should be correct. So maybe there's something else going on? I don't know. But they're saying that is the case. I don't know. Can I package a couple more people into this somehow? Like, if I threw Garrett Temple in, like, I'm sure that this would probably work then. Yeah, that's fine, and you could just waive them all if you want to, but kind of a weird one. I'm not sure it's going to be able to work, so we're in kind of a tough spot to go and make a move. We don't have very tradable players. We need to bring in cheaper players more so than anything. So I wonder if there's what team would you want to sell like an RJ Barrett to? Because he's probably the first one that you'd get rid of out of all of them, right? Where would you send an RJ Barrett to? Just kind of looking through teams or whatever. Who would want him? Milwaukee would want him. Milwaukee would take any talent they could get right now. Kuzma's 22. RJ's 27. I know Raptors fans like, do not give us Kyle Kuzma. I'm thinking about it, bitch. I'm thinking about it, bitch. Just hold on for a second. So this works. That works. The Bucks get RJ Barrett. We get Kyle Kuzma. Problem is we get him for multiple seasons. And we have to have Kyle Kuzma. So that's not advantageous, is it? Do the Bucks have like, and again, let's turn on trade deadline mode. Let's do that. they can't really trade anybody else either, though, is the thing. Man, maybe we could have helped them with like a Damian Lillard thing or something like that. I don't know. They don't have any tradable contracts either. So maybe there's something there if they want to give us a draft pick or something. I guess that wouldn't be the worst thing in the world. Where else could you send an RJ Barrett to? I'm just looking through teams. Maybe the Kings would do some shit like that. I don't know. With the Lakers fans just want to trade for anybody, honestly, so they might be down for it, but I don't see a team that this would make a ton of sense to go and do. Maybe you could convince me of Memphis. Maybe they could probably use one more guy that wouldn't mind having the basketball, and they've been kind of looking for a wing. So there's probably something that you could figure out here. So if you sent RJ Barrett over there, you take back a little bit of money. I gotta keep turning trade deadline mode on. This is my thing. I hate how I have to reset it every single time. So if we just took on like KCP, that'd be a better role player for us or whatever. I could do something like this, and maybe Memphis just sends us like a little second or something like that. That's not a bad deal whatsoever. This is more of a role player for us, right? It kind of fits with the team that we have. We save some money. We should dip below the apron. This team will be a first apron hard cap team. Really? How? No, something's not right here. After shedding $6 million, they're still a first apron team? That doesn't make any sense. I don't understand. I feel like there's something wrong with this. It is in beta, but let me know if I'm missing something. So I don't know. Those are just some trade ideas or whatever that I have for this group. Let's move forward to the rotations part of the video. Alrighty, rotations, question mark. I always put the question mark on here because look, I'm not in the training camps, I'm not in the practices. This is just me kind of evaluating these guys based off how they played last season, what I would do with them in a rotation. But again, a lot of this stuff is kind of figured out like before the season. These are real activities that coaches go through. They're like, okay, on average, kind of how many minutes do we want these guys to play? And they kind of simulate what the rotations might look like as they progress throughout the game. But as always, these are like averages or whatever, and the EPM numbers right here are just these EPM numbers over here, but now they're weighted by how many minutes they're being played, so we get kind of a team view of it. So I've got the starters all playing over 30 minutes. Like, the starters are the core of this team. I don't want them all playing together all of the time because I do think you need to split them up a little bit, but they're going to play a good amount of the game. The couple of guys that I kind of trust to come off the bench right now, Grady Dick, because he needs to be something for us, Oche, and Mamu. Those are the three guys that I at least kind of trust being on the basketball court. I've thrown Jamal and Mogbo into the mix just because I didn't feel like I had room for Jacoby Walter, honestly, just because I've got a couple other people at kind of his spots already, and these guys are going to play in those spots as well. So I think it's going to be hard for him to get minutes, but this is what I got right now. It's one that's very confusing to me. I need guys to do things that they've never done before for this team to kind of work out. And I mean, that can certainly happen, but this is what I got for right now. And that brings me on to my lineups right here, which is where I kind of start to freeball things and I come up with some lineups that I want to see throughout the year. And you're going to see, I don't know one, I don't know two, I don't know three. I don't know what to do with this group, man. It's confusing. The only thing that I've kind of figured out with this group is I'm like, okay, I need to like make it so that these guys that don't need the basketball as much, and like Oche, maybe Grady Dick, right? Maybe a Mogbo or something, like these guys just need to all be kind of sprinkled in between Scotty Barnes, Ingram, and Barrett, right? So that these guys don't have a bunch of people kind of competing over the basketball or whatever, and maybe we can try to have some spacing and solid basketball around these guys. So the first one, I've got point guard Scotty, playing with RJ Barrett still, but then I got Dick, Mogbo, and Jakob Poeltl. That's kind of a gross team. There is not a lot of shooting here whatsoever, but fuck it. I don't know one. I don't know two. Emmanuel Quickley is out there who he doesn't necessarily need the ball, but he does have it sometimes. So now it's RJ Barrett and Brandon Ingram out here with Oche and like Mamu and stuff. Not a good defensive group here, really. I'd have a lot of concerns with this team, but I don't know number two. I don't know number three. I've got Quickley in with Barnes just to kind of see, because we've also got Jamal out there who doesn't do much without the basketball either. But we're going to mix in Grady Dick, and I'm going to let Mogbo play some center, because fuck it. I don't know number three. I genuinely don't know what to do with this group. It's a weird one. It's not one that I would like to try to figure out, but This is where I pass it off to you guys. Let me know what you think about those things. But anyway, now we get on to the final part of the video, the standings prediction. Where do I think that this team is going to finish the regular season? All right, y'all, you know how this works. Basically, I'm going to press this button right here, this Raptors button, and they're going to appear somewhere in the Eastern Conference, wherever I think they're going to finish. We got a couple of the top teams here. We got all the bottom teams done at this point. So this means I've got them at least in the play-in this year. So where do I think they're going to play this year? Are they going to be a playoff team? Are they going to be a play-in? Is the starting lineup enough? Drum roll, please. Ooh, where are they going to go? Grady Dick. Where's he going to go? He's going to go to the 10 seed. That's where I've got them. I think they can, like, because there is a lot of talent here. Like, there's a lot of talent in this first five. No, none of them are, like, elite talents, but these are all very capable, like, 20-point scorers, like, in the NBA that can be versatile defenders if you use them correctly. You got a good center. I'm very concerned about the bench. That's why I've only got them as, like, a 10 seed here, but I could totally see a world where something happens here. I wouldn't put money on it, but I could understand that it could happen, right? And that's really where I've got this group. But, again, this is where I pass it off to you guys. Let me know where you think the Raptors are going to finish down in the comment section below. I don't know, man. And again, stay off of this team's TikTok or whatever. It's some scary shit or whatever. But anyway, talking about scary shit, let's go to the comments of the video. Alrighty, y'all. Comment to the video is coming from our Washington Wizards season preview video here. I went kind of all out with this thumbnail here. We've got the teachers right here in Chris Middleton and CJ McCollum, and then we got the young kids they're teaching in Trey Johnson and Alex Sarr. So I don't know. I had a little bit of fun with this one. We even had a where was the comment or whatever? Somebody didn't even like recognize like who they were in the video or whatever. It was funny. But anyway, the comment to the video is the Dimer 4017. Frequent commenter on the channel. Honestly, all of you people that you see on here are the frequent commenters that make up the comment section at this point of the year. These are the basketball sweats. If you see your name on the screen right now, I know you're a basketball sweat because you're commenting on like all of my videos at this point. So thank you. But he said, bro, you were damn near in my neighborhood, Waterloo. That's crazy. I was talking about in that video how I had just gotten back from I was down in Iowa helping one of my clients out or whatever, kind of get ready for the season. And I stopped in this place called Waterloo, Iowa. Dustiest little town I've ever seen in my life. Like, I was looking around. I saw so many, like, dirty ass people that were, like, had weird ass hair colors and everything. A lot of, like, little scrawny, kind of like Cheeto stash, like mustache. White kids driving around in muscle cars that had too many decals on them with their little blonde girlfriends. Way too many people at Chick-fil-A for that time of the day. But hey, I love some Chick-fil-A, man. I really do. But no, I don't know. Weird ass place. So hey, I'm sorry you got to live around there, my boy. I had some questions. I'm like, what is going on in Waterloo? But anyway, I appreciate you guys as always. Thanks for all the great basketball conversations. There's a lot of them. If you want to have more great basketball conversations, go join the Discord. Link is down in the description below. It's completely free. It's also how you get access to this fun little spreadsheet here. A reminder that I'm constantly updating it, so just go download more up-to-date copies whenever you need them. But as always, I appreciate you guys. Like, subscribe, comment, do all those things. Share this video with your nana. And please, as always, just you guys have a great weekend because I'm pretty sure this is going out on a Friday or whatever. And yeah, we'll talk to you guys later. Thanks so much. Bye.